सेव किया था ना?
मैं सिर्फ इसलिए गया था क्योंकि उसने मुझे कॉल किया, that's it. But listen तो.
Save it for someone else.
जिंदगी में सेव करना जरूरी है, मगर जब बात पैसों की हो, सिर्फ सेविंग से काम नहीं चलेगा। इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए और अपने सेविंग्स को आगे बढ़ने का मौका दीजिए।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Talking about Pakistan once again in Cut The Clutter, I have to be sobered by the fact that I'm talking to an audience, to wonderfully smart people who actually know a lot about Pakistan, its politics, its military, its political military nexus, its jihadi groups, and also its fascinating personalities in its politics. And yet the Pakistanis are capable of giving us surprises, and so that we have new ideas, new issues to talk about on their country. And the new thing that's happened in Pakistan today, I'm sure all of you have seen by now visuals of Imran Khan being arrested in a very dramatic fashion, not from his home, not from his street, not from a rally, not from his party office, but from Islamabad High Court premises. So he had been summoned in the High Court. In another case, in a bunch of cases, he faces more than 100 cases. And while he was there, Pakistan's paramilitary forces, the Rangers, which is a kind of Pakistani equivalent of the Indian Border Security Force. In fact, Pakistani Rangers are the ones that India's Border Security Force faces across the border in Punjab and Rajasthan. So the Rangers came in a very large strength, and they picked up Imran Khan quite rudely. There are visuals of Rangers grabbing his neck. Imran Khan is these days being moved around on a wheelchair because he suffered injuries in that attempt on his life. A couple of months ago, he took 3 bullets, not fatal, but bullets that he says and his people say caused a fair bit of damage to his body, to his limbs. So he was in a wheelchair. He was arrested by the Pakistani Rangers. He was taken away. Now, this was a dramatic turn to events which have been unfolding for the past many months. This peaked at one point with that so-called assassination attempt on him. So-called because he says it was an assassination attempt. His rivals say this was a fix. We don't even know what those wounds are about. It's a very divided, very polarized politics. Imran Khan has been making allegations that this assassination attempt was not by some political adversary of his or some personal enemy of his. This was organized by a group in the Pakistani Army's ISI, Inter-Services Intelligence Wing, the almighty ISI, and there he in particular names a Major General Fazal Nasir. Major General Fazal Nasir is Deputy Director General CI. Now, CI is counterintelligence. In the Pakistani ISI, which has 10 Major Generals at last count, 10 Major Generals and a Rear Admiral, same rank, but the only one not from the army, 11 of them, there the most powerful man is DGCI. DGCI, or Deputy Director General of Counterintelligence, actually is in charge of politics. Domestic politics, is also in charge of internal issues, right? So he is the one who controls not just politics, but also runs political dirty tricks, kisko uthana, kisko girana, who has to be lifted up, who has to be pulled down, whose government needs support from other legislators, independents and others, whose government needs to be brought down by getting independent legislators to desert him, or whose party needs to be broken. All of that usually is done by somebody, by the incumbent in this position. So that incumbent today is Major General Fazal Nasir. So Imran Khan said, and he's been saying now repeatedly, that it is Major General Fazal Nasir who has organized these assassination attempts on him. One we've all seen, that was in Wazirabad, in Punjab, in Pakistan's Punjab, when his party was in power. Yet another one, he says, was attempted by the same group by 3 assassins. He has no other evidence. Another attempt was made by 3 assassins, he says, in another court premises. So those are the 2 assassinations he's talking about. Now, he has made these allegations against Major General Fazal Nasir So just as an aside, I just told you that ISI today has 10 major generals. It's headed by a Lieutenant General, that is Nadeem Anjum. That's not the guy Imran Khan when he was Prime Minister. He did not want him to be the ISI chief. Then General Bajwa wanted him to be the ISI chief. There was a weak standoff, after which, as usual, as they say, the house always wins, right, in a casino. So the house in Pakistani casino is the Pakistani army. So the House won and Nadeem Anjum was made the ISI chief. Imran didn't want him. He's the chief and Faisal Nasir is the DDG CI. 10 major generals, I told you, one is the Rear Admiral. You will also be surprised, or maybe not so surprised, to know what that Rear Admiral at the same level is in charge of. He is DDG Media. So ISI actually has a major general level officer who is in charge of the media. Now, I don't think in charge of the media means somebody who liaises with the media or somebody who holds press conferences. That is ISPR in Pakistan. So this also gives you an insight into what a powerful organization Pakistan's ISI is. That besides, so Imran Khan made these allegations, and he made this allegation most strongly a day before his arrest. He made this allegation. The ISPR, Pakistani Armed Forces official spokesperson, it's not a person, it's an office, spokesperson, so to say, saying that this is bad, they will take recourse to legal methods. Basically, without saying as much, accusing Imran Khan of defaming them. And Imran Khan then saying, what is it? How can you say that I'm insulting your institution just because you have a bad guy, or maybe a bad guy with a gang around him, right? If you have a bad guy, black sheep, in fact, in his statement in Urdu, he says Kali Bhed, which means black sheep. If you have black sheep, you take them out, you punish them, the reputation of your institution will be enhanced, not damaged. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has also been writing tweets defending his army. So this is a very unusual kind of a mess. For Pakistan, because the elected government, because whatever it is, the government has a majority in national parliament. So Shehbaz Sharif's government is an elected coalition government, and elected government and the army. So elected government and the army are on the same page. Usually they are at odds with each other, and when they are at odds with each other, you know who will win. When they are at odds, you know the army will win, the house will win. But right now they are together, and together they are because they have a common adversary, and that common adversary is Imran Khan. As I mentioned that, I will also remind you of a national interest article I had done last year when I have said he's not such in the dim as he's called, Imran Khan. He's now got Pakistani army ducking and weaving. And you know what? Some of you might have disagreed when I said he's not quite in the dim in this case, because he's challenged the Pakistani army in a way no popular leader has done as yet. And he's been quite defiant, and see what his supporters have done today after his arrest. They have ransacked one floor or part of one floor of the GHQ. That's where the power of Pakistani army or the Pakistani establishment sits, right? Mobs have gone and ransacked one floor in GHQ in Rawalpindi. Mobs have gone and set fire to the house of the Corps Commander in Lahore. Even the Corps Commander's house in Quetta has been attacked. A very popular memorial for Pakistan Air Force in Sargodha. Sargodha is Pakistan Air Force, is probably its most important air base. That memorial has been destroyed as well. So this is the kind of popular and mob anger that Pakistan's armed forces or Pakistan's army political bureaucratic nexus, or what is usually called the establishment, that's ever faced. And it's the first time in Pakistan that a political figure is so popular on the street that the Pakistani army is now fearing him or hiding away from him. So Pakistani army it is which is saying, we'll take recourse to legal methods, or if you have a problem, you take recourse to legal methods. You can't malign the ISI, which amounts to maligning the army. Of course, my facetious comment there is that maybe what the ISI wants to tell Imran Khan is that, look, you are maligning us not because you are saying that we tried to assassinate you. That is something that the ISI, the Pakistani army, has done quite successfully in the past, and I don't think that will embarrass them. Maybe they are complaining that, look, you are saying that not only did we try to assassinate you twice, but we failed twice. So we are an organization that's never failed, that does not have a track record of failing in assassination attempts, particularly assassinations on our politicians. So that facetious comment apart, the fact is that this is now a first-rate crisis. Imran Khan has been arrested. Now, what is this arrest? So it's not as if it's some simple arrest for violation of Section 144 CRPC or prohibitory orders. It's a serious arrest. It's a serious arrest in a super serious law. Now, in Pakistan, Pakistani politics and Pakistani system has a monstrosity. It's a monstrosity called National Accountability Bureau. Now, this is a monstrosity, or this is a bullet that we ducked in India, because this was the precise idea of the Jan Lokpal bill. But because if the Jan Lokpal bill that Anna Hazare and others wanted at that point, if such a bill had come in, we would have set up an organization that is exactly what Pakistan's National Accountability Bureau is. That organization is headed by a person, has a couple of others, has total powers. It is the prosecutor, it is the judge, it gives you a punishment, and it can catch anybody, and most of its processes cannot even be challenged judicially in Pakistan's court. So it's a super powerful body. This is the body that the Pakistani establishment has repeatedly used to get politicians they don't like out of their way. It is the same body which ultimately had gone after the Nawaz Sharif family, Bhutto family, everybody. And this is what has sent so many Pakistani politicians into exile. So it is that body, National Accountability Bureau. Once you set up an organization like that, then the establishment of the day, which is the same establishment always in Pakistan, can make what use it wants of it. So in this case, National Accountability Bureau, it is which has ordered the arrest of Imran Khan. And how do they justify using the Rangers, paramilitary forces, and arresting him from Islamabad High Court precincts, in spite of the fact that the Chief Justice there is very angry and is calling the police chief of Islamabad, etc., and he's asking them to explain. But the fact is that the National Accountability Bureau is very powerful. At this point, it's also headed by a Lieutenant General. Now, to understand what the case against Imran Khan is, you have to first become familiar with a few names. So one name is Malik Riaz Hussain. Malik Riaz Hussain is among the biggest new tycoons of Pakistan. New means he's not, or his family is not among those 22 families that Zulfikar Ali Bhutto once famously said rule or own all of Pakistan's wealth. His family is not among those. He's more a self-made person. He used to be a reasonably small-time contractor who worked with the Pakistani Navy at one point. In the course of time, he got a contract with Pakistan Navy to build one of their housing colonies. Pakistan Navy had a foundation called Baria Foundation. So this housing colony that he built for Pakistan Navy, that was named Baria.
And why Baria Foundation? Because Baria means the Navy in Urdu. So the Navy's foundation, the Baria Foundation, and Malik Riaz liked the name, so he carried on calling his own business also Baria.
He liked that name, and he then branched off into real estate development and used the name Baria. Pakistani Navy challenged him, I believe, at some point, saying that you can't use that name, it's a misuse, but he went to court. And he also, in any case, gifted so many bungalows and so many expensive gifts, jewelry, cars, etc., to top officers of the Navy, Army, I haven't seen Air Force very much, that he got away with it. He today is among the biggest real estate developers in this subcontinent. And I say that seriously, given the fact that India's economy is so much bigger. So he's got, in every big city of Pakistan, he's got a big gated development coming up. And these gated developments are like mini cities. So Islamabad, 40,000 acres, 16,000 hectares, right? Karachi is a bit like Bombay, very congested, very crowded, very large town where land is not easily found, but you can find land outside of the city. So again, a place which might be, say, about 3 times the size of the whole DLF development in Gurgaon on the outskirts of Delhi, or maybe 10 times or 15 times the size of, say, the Hiranandani development in Mumbai, or any equivalent developments in Bangalore or other places. So 46,000 acres in Karachi. Similar size, a bit less, maybe 15,000 hectares or 14,000 hectares, but about 40,000 acres in Islamabad. In Lahore, again, a development so big that it now has a huge mosque. He's built a huge mosque. It is the 7th largest mosque in the world, can accommodate 75,000 people. Similarly, he has a development coming up in Peshawar and other places. Now, this man was once accused, this is the case, please try and understand this. He was accused of having transferred the equivalent of 5,000 crore Pakistani rupees. You can divide it by 3 roughly, so you come to the equivalent in Indian rupees. In fact, it's less than Indian rupee equivalent will be today less than 1/3 of it. But even then it's a lot of money, say 1800, 1900 crore of Indian rupees equivalent. That money, the founder of Baria Group, that is Malik Riaz Hussain, he was a contractor, a fairly small-time contractor for what is called as MES. It's called MES in India also. That is Military Engineering Service. People who do constructions and other contracts for the armed forces. And from there, he went on to bag this big contract, house building contract for the Pakistan Navy. He's supposed to have transferred through money laundering to somebody in UK. That somebody was called by UK's NCA, and that deal and transfer was busted by them. When that happened, then Malik Riaz Hussain, among the richest men of Pakistan and among the most powerful people in Pakistan, he made a settlement with the British National Crime Authority. And that settlement was the equivalent of 190 million pounds sterling. 190 million pounds sterling, roughly, approximately, is about 5,000 crores of Pakistani rupees. Now, when the British authorities, the British National Crime Authority, recovered that, they also confiscated some of his properties, which they said they will auction. They were to transfer that money to Pakistan government because that is the law in Britain. This was ill-gotten money laundered out of Pakistan. So they returned this to Pakistan government because it belonged to Pakistan's people and Pakistan's exchequer. Around that time, Imran Khan was Prime Minister, so he passed a cabinet resolution, which it now seems, at least the allegation is, it was never passed around, so nobody in his cabinet read that resolution. It was just taken as read and passed. And that resolution said that this money will not come to the Consolidated Fund of Pakistan or to the Pakistani exchequer, but this can go straight to Supreme Court of Pakistan, and that is the corruption. Now you might say that, look, the money did not come to the Consolidated Fund of Pakistan, but went to Supreme Court of Pakistan. So what did Imran take out of this? The question is, why did the money go to Supreme Court of Pakistan? That's because Malik Riaz Hussain and Baria Group had been facing cases in the Supreme Court of Pakistan. Supreme Court of Pakistan had imposed very heavy fines on them. So he owed those fines to Supreme Court of Pakistan. So what this cabinet resolution allegedly did in Pakistan was under Imran Khan, that instead of the money coming to the people of Pakistan or the government of Pakistan, money went to the Supreme Court of Pakistan in lieu of the compensation or the fine that Malik Riaz Hussain and his companies had to pay Supreme Court of Pakistan. So they partly paid his debt to the Supreme Court of Pakistan. Then you might still say, all right, he helped him, but where's the quid pro quo? So here is the case. The quid pro quo is that Imran Khan and his current wife, Bushra Bibi, Bushra Maneka, Bushra Bibi, the spiritual one, they set up a trust called Al-Qadir Trust. And they said this trust will set up a large university for spiritual education of young Pakistanis, which means Islamic education of young Pakistanis. This trust, through a roundabout way, by first transferring the land to one person and then to the other, the Baharia group, that is Malik Riaz Hussain's group, they transferred 458 canals. Now, canal is a measure which is equal to about 500 square yards. It's a measure used in North India, in our Punjab, in Pakistan as well. So 458 canals, remember, 8 canals is about an acre, right? So 50-something acre. The reason I'm not giving you an exactly precise number for the conversion into acres is that sometimes from region to region, these measures vary just a little bit. So I don't want to be so precise, but you can say 55 acres of land, roughly about 530 crore rupees. That was transferred to this trust owned by or run by Imran Khan and his wife. And this trust was set up and the land was transferred when Imran Khan was Prime Minister. So this becomes a quid pro quo. Then the allegation also is that Malik Riaz Hussain also said that he will also fund the setting up of this university. So in the first year, while no university had come up, in fact, Pakistan's Punjab government had not even yet passed a resolution, a law authorizing the university, because you just can't set up a university. A government has to give you the equivalent of a license or a permit. That hadn't happened, but 18 crores Pakistani rupees, 18 crores of donations had already come into the trust. And then, as if this was not enough, another 240 canals of land. 240 canals, again divide by half, so you know how many acres. Another 240 canals of land, that's another 30 acres or so. That was transferred to a woman called Farah Gogi, also known as Farah Shehzadi. She is the woman who's supposed to be very close to the Imran Khan family and to his current wife, Bushra Bibi. She happens to come from Multan, and she became a follower or an adherent of Bushra Maneka when she used to be Maneka, and she used to be a spiritual person, noted spiritual person in Multan, and a faith healer. And looks like that Farhat Gogi or Farah Shehzadi had come to her when her husband was very sick. Her husband, Ahsan Jamil, happens to be the son of a former PML, Pakistan Muslim League, National Parliament member. So she had come for his treatment. Obviously, the treatment worked and they became very close. So she was given this land, but she was also part of the same Al-Qadi Trust. You might remember, and you will see it on your screen also, she was seen to be leaving Pakistan on a private plane just as Imran Khan had lost power last year. Now, Imran Khan has been saying, and he's been recording videos saying, I will not leave Pakistan, which means he's saying, I am unlike those who left Pakistan. So he's referring to Nawaz Sharif in this case. He says, I will not leave Pakistan, I will fight. Then he's calling Faisal Nasir, the Major General, Dirty Harry, right? And he's saying, you Dirty Harry, you tried to kill me, I will teach you a lesson. And he's also telling the armed forces that, look, I run a hospital, Shaukat Khanum Hospital. If a doctor does something wrong and I take action against the doctor, I'm actually enhancing the reputation of my hospital, my institution. Similarly, you take action against this guy, this will enhance the reputation of your institution. Obviously, nobody will listen to him. And then he says, he's again appealing to the armed forces, and he says, why don't you look at those jinki paanchon ungliyan ghee mein hai? Now, paanchon ungliyan ghee mein hai is difficult for me to translate from Hindi into, it's a Hindi metaphor, into English, but basically people who are fattening themselves on the current political power that they have. And then he says, look, you have to worry, look at Pakistan's situation right now. Bloomberg, he says, Bloomberg says that Pakistan's condition today is worse than Sri Lanka's was when people came out in the streets and the place went into chaos and the government fell. And he says, can you imagine if things went the same way in Pakistan as well, if people came out in the streets in large numbers as they did in Sri Lanka. Then he says that this Dirty Harry fellow, Major General Faisal Nasir, he not only tried to get me assassinated twice and failed, I'm sure the ISI doesn't like that one bit, and failed, but that he was also behind the killing or the assassination of the Pakistani TV anchor Arshad Sharif in Kenya last year. That is also something that we've spoken about. That was a Pakistani anchor who was quite inconvenient to Pakistani army and also some sections of Pakistani politics, who had gone away to Kenya, maybe to escape from Pakistan, and was killed there. Then it was dismissed by Kenyan police as a case of mistaken identity. Later, it was widely believed that this was some kind of an assassination. So he says, you've tried to do all this, and now that you failed, you are arresting me, I will fight on. On the other hand, if you follow the news from Pakistan, you will find a lot of taunts from Imran Khan's critics saying, oh, you've done all this, huh? You took all this money and all this land from this guy, and by doing such an underhand thing and paying off his debt to the Supreme Court from money that should have come to the people of Pakistan, and you got a cut, and you had somebody thrown out of Pakistan because he was not Sadiq and Amin. Now that is something we have to understand. Pakistani constitution says, that is Article 62 and 63 of Pakistani constitution, that to be a public figure in Pakistan, to be a member of parliament in Pakistan, Majlis-e-Shura or National Assembly of Pakistan, to be a member, everybody who wants to be a member should be Sadiq and Amin. It's a very Islamic, conservative concept, understanding of a ruler or of a public figure. Sadiq means one who's never told a lie. Amin means one who has never breached anybody's faith. Now, anybody who's never told a lie, never breached anybody's faith, and if you are trying to tell me that such a person exists in politics in any country in the world, right? Then you are talking about a really pochela person in some place, a truly realized master. Such human beings do not exist in politics. But it was using the same test, Sadiq and Amin, that Pakistan's Supreme Court disqualified Nawaz Sharif from being Prime Minister of Pakistan. He was not convicted for any corruption. They just said he did not make a full disclosure of a couple of things where he gained nothing. He had gained nothing. But because he had not made the full disclosure, he failed the test of being Sadiq and Amin. That is, of being totally truthful, having never told a lie, and of having never breached anybody's faith. That is Amin. So the taunts that are being thrown at Imran Khan now also include this, ha ha ha, look who's talking. And you thought, you were Sadiq and Amin, huh? Will you call yourself Sadiq and Amin? So that is where this situation is. And once again, Pakistan's politics has come to a very interesting turn, because what is the upshot? The upshot is not how long Imran Khan stays in jail. The upshot is these cases are strong enough now for the establishment. If they really push it, if these are taken to their logical conclusion, Imran Khan may or may not be convicted. But if this trial goes on, if this case goes on, there is sufficient juice here for the establishment to be able to disqualify him or to prevent him from contesting in the next election. That is the big issue right now in Pakistan, because election will take place this coming October or thereabouts.